welcome back to StarrSoaps channel. How are you today? I'm doing good. Today I'm going to be making my liquid gold star soap. That's right, 1 second. This is what I'm going to be making. How cool is that? So this one has mica in it, and that seems to have made it like separate. We've got half clear at the bottom and half coloured at the top. What I did when I first mixed it is I had like all like the top here. So it's sat and it's separated back out. But it is cool. Green sparkly lemon lime liquid soap. That's right. And if you want to know how to make this soap and you'd like to make it yourself, hit me up, send me an email and you can purchase the recipe. That's right, I have this recipe for sale. So send me an email, starrsoaps@gmail.com, and I'll hook you up with a groovy recipe. I also have my lip balm recipe for sale if you're interested as well. Coming soon are bubble bars, bath bombs, and anything else you want really. So today I'm going to be trying out said recipe. And I'm going to be showing you all here on camera exactly how it goes. And I'm pretty excited. I love making liquid soap. I always use it up way too quickly. So I'm going to make a huge amount in this batch. And hopefully it lasts a bit longer. I've got a couple of big bottles to keep for home. And then I've got these cute little ones to sell to a lucky few people who might want to get their hands on some magical... Look how magical that is. Can you see it sparkling? Magical soap. Oh, it's so cool. Now you don't have to add mica, obviously. You can leave it plain. You don't even have to use the oils that I recommend in the recipe. You can get creative and you can try out whatever oils you like. And I've even been really tempted to try coconut oil only liquid soap, so keep an eye out for that video. That might be coming in the future too. Without further waffle, this groovy Miss Crystal Star is going to go and make some liquid soap. So come along with me and I'll show you how I do it. Squee! Okay, so jump into melted oils and lye is already added in the crock pot. And we've got some coconut oil and some olive oil and some sunflower oil. And then just the lye solution, and now we're just going to begin trying to bring our liquid soap paste to trace. Now because we use potassium hydroxide to make liquid soap and not sodium hydroxide, and possibly because of the added heat as well, is I think why it takes so long for this to come to trace. So if you're like me and you have a slightly old-fashioned stick blender, then definitely take breaks. Don't just keep mixing the whole time or you may burn your stick blender out, and you don't want to kill your stick blender. And if you've got one of those newer stick blenders, then you probably don't need to worry about that. But my stick blender is very old. It's part of why I like it when I'm doing my cold process soap, because it doesn't mix things too much and I have more control. But I think in the future, if I'm making liquid soap, I will use a different stick blender, which I've just recently purchased, and it's got a stainless steel part on the bottom, and it's just a lot more strong and a lot more industrial. So I would definitely use that for this type of project in the future and save this trusty one for just when I'm making cold process. So I have definitely sped this up for you. This is a long process to get this to come to trace. You have to be patient, you have to keep mixing and taking breaks so your stick blender doesn't burn out, and as you keep going, eventually you will get to this stage where things are starting to thicken up a little bit and they're starting to look a little bit more like how cold process soap looks when it comes to trace. Now we're at that trace. You can see here we've reached that trace finally. So I'm going to give it one last bit of mix as much as my stick blender will let me, because it's very thick now and sort of almost pudding consistency. And once I feel happy and I feel like it's, you know, at a really nice thick trace, then I can go away. I'll put the lid on, go away and let it cook for a good half an hour. When I come back, it should look a bit like this, where it has started to cook. You can see around the edges is actually getting a lot more heat, and that's why it's good for me to come through with my spatula and break up the paste and move it around so that it's all getting nice even heat to it. I've got my crock pot on low here. It's got 3 settings. It can be on high, low, or warm, which is even lower than low. So I've got it on low. I'm just giving everything a good mix and trying to chop it up with my spatula to make sure that the heat is getting evenly to every part of this lovely soapy goodness. And then the lid will go back on and I'll wait for another 20 minutes or so, or half an hour, and then come back and check it again. And this process will continue until I've reached the Vaseline stage. So right here we're at about the applesauce stage. It's a little bit more than the mashed potato. It's a bit thicker than mashed potato stage, which is what you saw just before. And now I'm just waiting for it to get to that sort of semi-translucent Vaseline stage. The soap paste is cooked all the way. It hasn't gone completely see-through, and that's due to the oils that I chose to use in my recipe. I use olive oil, and I usually work with olive pomace, which has a high level of unsaponifiables. So you can see that's what my soap paste looks like now, and it's ready to be diluted into liquid soap. So I'm just going to pour enough distilled water that I cover the soap paste completely. I can add more water, but I can't take it away. I'm going to make sure that I do not mix this now, because I do not want to cause any more bubbles than we already have on top there. And I'm going to cover it up and leave it on warm so that it can start diluting. This is a very long process as well, and it's something you have to be patient through. If you find that the chunks are not dissolving, but the rest of the liquid is at the perfect consistency for you, I recommend straining out the lumps and diluting them separately in a different container. I kept my soap paste warm, and I added cold water. I think if I had warmed my water and added it to warm soap paste, that might speed up the process. And also making sure that you come back and check on it and you see how right now it needs more water. It definitely doesn't have enough water. Oh, hello. Hi, Luna. Here's my pussycat. She's come out to meow and say hello. I'm busy, kitty. I'm making liquid soap. Back to the soap. So yeah, you can see right now that I could go ahead and I could add at least half the amount of water I'd already added again, and this would start diluting quicker. I'm playing around here. I'm experimenting with how thick I can make the actual liquid soap. When I've made liquid soap in the past, it came out really thin and watery, and I don't want that. I want it to be thicker. And I know a lot of people add different things to their liquid soap to thicken it, but a good friend of mine who has taught me quite a bit about liquid soap making says that you shouldn't need to add anything to thicken it. It's all down to doing this dilution process properly, in her opinion. As you can see, now that it is diluting, the soap paste is starting to look very see-through and much more like Vaseline, so I'm really happy with that. I left it overnight and it's been on warm all night long. I've come back the next morning now and we're going to have a look. It looks like we're getting there. We've still got a very thick layer on top and a fairly watery layer underneath, so mixing it is important at this point. I definitely feel like if there's anybody who makes liquid soap who's watching this who has some kind of a trick to speed this process up, I'm all ears. I would love for you to leave me a comment below, because I feel like this part of it, after you've already gone through cooking it out and getting it just right, and then you have to dilute it as well, can be really frustrating and just seems to take a really, really, really long time, which is also why I think it's a good idea to make a lot of liquid soap at one time, because then hopefully you don't have to do it again in a hurry. So the soap isn't doing what I want it to do. At this point I could just take the top layer off, but I decided to get my stick blender in there and try to bring it all together. I have some really beautiful liquid soap on the bottom, and then I have this fairly sort of large chunks still on the top. So as long as I don't bring my stick blender up and incorporate any air, we should be okay. I'm just making sure that my stick blender stays completely submerged in the soap the whole time I'm mixing, and I'm just trying to gently help it to come together. Unfortunately, as you can see, what's happening is what was a very clear liquid soap at the bottom is becoming sort of opaque as it all mixes together. So what I'm hoping I can do is leave it after I have mixed it thoroughly for another sort of 20 minutes or half an hour, and then it should all settle again, and with any luck I'll have some lovely clear liquid soap on the bottom. after a really thorough blend with the stick blender, I have created some air bubbles. I've also created a very white skin all over the top of the soap. So right now it looks like the soap is all white because that's what you're looking at. But as you'll see, after I leave it, I've spritzed it with some rubbing alcohol. And yeah, you can see here that this is definitely a skin on the top. So I'm going to leave it, I'm going to go away and come back, and with any luck it will have separated again. So here we are about 30 to 40 minutes later, and you can see the skin here, this white stuff all over the top, and then you can also see my lovely clear liquid soap underneath. So stick blending it did speed things up, but it also created this. So keep that in mind. You can either just be patient, which I do recommend, and then if you've still got lumps and they're not dissolving, you can scoop them out and the rest of the soap is perfect. Or you can do what I did, and again, let me show you my mistakes. Learn through me, guys. That's the point of this channel, I feel. I don't do things 100% perfectly every single time, and you guys know that, but we always learn from the mistakes, and the things we learn from our mistakes, they are totally priceless. You cannot buy them in a book. You cannot read or learn them through somebody else. The only way you'll learn these things is by doing it yourself. So what I've got here is all of that skin, if you will, that was on the top, and it's still lovely soap as well. I'm going to go ahead and blend that into another batch of soap, and you'll see that video as well, making a nice cream soap, so nothing is going to waste. Already, as you just noticed, a skin was forming again on the top, so I feel like it's time to go ahead and bottle the lovely liquid soap that we have underneath. I'm just going to show you the non-diluted parts of soap here, so you can see just how much like Vaseline they look now. It is see-through. That's the point I'm trying to get to. Even using olive oil and oils that other people recommended you can't get a liquid see-through soap with, I managed to get one. So experiment. That's what I'm trying to say. Don't just credit other people's advice because they're usually telling you that to help you, but experiment. So another 20 minutes has gone by, and I'm just going to gently push the skin out the way, and that way I can get to the lovely liquid gold underneath. As I pour it with my ladle through my funnel and into my little bottles, you'll see it looks very watery. But as it cools, you've got to remember this is still very warm. As it cools, it thickens on standing. And one thing I've noticed is as air gets to it, it can continue to thicken more. And you can actually end up needing to add a little bit more water to it. Now this might be because I haven't diluted it properly. I didn't measure the amount of water I added. I was just going by feel because that's what I've been recommended to do. But again, these are all learning things, and you've got to remember that this is only about my 5th batch of liquid soap that I've got under my belt. So I'm still learning too. I think that the soap is beautiful, it works really well, and I have absolutely no fragrance in this one, and it smells lovely. It has a very unique scent, which must just come from the oils I chose to use, because like I say, I haven't added anything to make it smell. It almost smells a bit sort of nutty. It's really earthy and natural. A lot of people love it. I've had a lot of good feedback, people saying I really love how it smells. It's just so nice and natural. So a lot of my liquid soap in the future I'll probably leave unscented. But I also wanted to play around for you guys for the purpose of this video. So I did add some fragrance to the soap, and that is why, as you saw at the beginning, it sort of separated, and half of it stayed nice and clear and half of it went cloudy. I added the mica and it seemed to all come back together, and then on standing it separated again. So your fragrance that you add or your essential oil that you add can in fact undo all of your hard work. Bear that in mind. I didn't think that the fragrance oil I used, which was called L'Occitane Verbena, I didn't think that was a naughty fragrance. I've used it before and it's always behaved itself. But liquid soap is a whole different kettle of fish. So I really think that leaving it unscented is going to be my choice in the future. Again, that's up to you guys. watching me make this liquid soap. It was a mission, but a very fun mission. Here's how it looked in the bottles before I went ahead and added that extra fragrance and stuff to them. And it looks amber in colour, but it's definitely see-through, and I'm really happy with that. It's sitting up in the curing rack for no other reason than that I didn't have any room for it, next to my beautiful other soaps, lavender and calendula. I took a little bit and put them into some bottles for my son and daughter, Bryden Rain and Alexis Jane. Bryden got some blue and Alexis got some purple. It's kind of hard to see the purple in Alexis's one. And they've just been using them as their very own personal hand washing soap, which they love. The blue mica on the bottom of Bryden's one, I think I added a bit too much and it came out very dark. So remember, you only need the tiniest pinch. I hope you did enjoy watching this video. If you did and you'd like to see more like it, then hit the subscribe button. If you want the recipe, send me an email. They're for sale and I'd love to send you the recipe so you can give this recipe a go. Thanks again for watching, guys. Till next time.